Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We're live on this Thursday, the 16th day of July, 2015. We have a jam-packed global transmission lined up for you today. The corporate media is going into overdrive, deceiving the population about what Jade Helm really is. It, of course, kicked off yesterday. We've got a whole bunch of other news about the ongoing collapse of Europe, what's happening with the campaign, the latest on Donald Trump, medical news, and so much more. But first off, Leanne McAdoo on what they're not telling you about Jade Helm.
The Jade Helm military exercise kicked off today, and already we're seeing media outlets taking the angle of conspiracy nuts, thinking Texas is going to be invaded, martial law is imminent, people being rounded up into these underground Walmart tunnels, basically painting genuine concern as nothing more than crazy conspiracy theory. But one thing the media has failed to address altogether is the mastering the human domain angle of Jade Helm. This is something that we covered in depth months ago. I want to bring it back up to reiterate that this is what we need to be concerned with. The battlefield of the future is not going to be taking place between nation states per se. It is literally going to be a war for your mind. It's all about total information awareness, and that's what we're going to break down here today. So just to review, in military terminology, the human domain or human domain analytics refers to the global understanding of anything associated with people. Mastery of the human domain results from obtaining total information awareness on a mass scale, and we can break it down into 4 specific categories: who you are, what you do, who you know, and the context.
So I really had the privilege of running more of a multi-innovation cell. The cell's objectives were to use as much non-traditional data from an intel standpoint, do sense-making of data so that not only your analysts, but your machine learning, your algorithms you could build would ultimately get to a predictive analysis cell. It's very, very hard to do, especially if you don't have all the data. Basically, old data is good data, new data is good data, and all data is good.
Now, with present-day technology, meaning that pretty much anyone can upload a video onto the internet and reach the entire world in a second, the government has not only hyper-incentivized the collection of data, but also merging all of the relevant agencies. And so that's another big aspect of Jade Helm, is that we have a lot of these agencies working together with local law enforcement. James Clapper, who is the current director of national intelligence, said in 2009, activity-based surveillance built on a strong foundation of human dimension analysis will form the intellectual underpinning of how we perform intelligence in the future. A conference on mastering the human domain featured high-level military and intelligence officials openly discussing gathering publicly available data to create these detailed maps with layered information.
The recognition of the importance of the human domain and that the sophisticated understanding of all those things you said, tribal, history, language, culture, it's so significant.
So Jade Helm is more than a simple military exercise. If you understand the technology that's involved, then you'll see that Jade Helm is more of an intelligence operation using geospatial intelligence mapping. And as information from low-level surveillance technologies such as stingrays and predictive policing programs are all getting siphoned up into NSA data centers, a detailed global map will continue to grow with near-endless stats on all individuals. Jade Helm will not result in martial law. Rather, they are using this geospatial intelligence mapping to build a simulation, and that simulation will help them with predictive programming techniques, as well as it's going to bring America one step closer to total domination by the surveillance state and the military-industrial complex.
You understand the question, you understand the needs, potential threats, and you're putting that information together in a way that the sum is significantly larger, more valuable, more useful than the individual parts.
Jade Helm is total domination. Leanne McAdoo's report, we're going to post it. Just look at these headlines at drudgereport.com. Then I'll go to Infowars.com. Just look at them. Boom bust micro apartments are coming to the Midwest. Scientists edit genes to produce artificial sperm. Will generate army of half-cloned mice. Robot passes self-awareness test. That's AI. Hindu-Muslim couples slit each other's throats in Taj Mahal suicide pact. Vets' disability claims ended up in shred bins. Department officials at the Veterans Affairs accused of threatening tweets aimed at whistleblowers. Artificial intelligence to replace family doctor. It's going to stop right there. You notice I told you a long time ago, more than 15 years ago, that they would edit genes in the egg and the sperm, because that had all been announced in research that was already done in the U.S. and England. Everything we see in the news is basically 15 to 30 years old when they roll it out to the public. You notice they're talking about artificial intelligence to replace family doctor. Artificial intelligence is already replacing it. There used to be articles, by 2050, the entire military will be drones and self-aware combat robots. How about 2025, 2020? Now they're admitting that. They always say it further out so you don't get upset, but to condition you. It's a formula. They follow formulas. Criminals follow formulas. Successful people too, but not corrupt, evil ones. And then there's all the financial news coming in that the economy is in deep trouble. I've really spent some time watching Donald Trump's speeches and his interviews. And coming up at the bottom of the hour, I'll give you my take on Donald Trump. I've really done some soul searching on the subject, and I'll give you my take on whether I think he's a shill or not. Here's some of the news articles that just illustrate things at Infowars.com. Video, cop face slams handcuffed teen girl into the concrete floor, knocking out her teeth. And now the police department wants to give him a medal and is calling him a victim. That's the inversion of reality. A new video, Obama supporters advocate tearing down racist Mount Rushmore. We told you that was coming. In fact, I said a few weeks ago, reporters go out and call for tearing down Mount Rushmore. Well, Mark Dice has done it. Star of the Confederate flag theft video to be charged by police. An excellent Leanne McAdoo report, what they won't tell you about Jade Helm. Another important article, stone cold proof that America deserves judgment. And that's the breakdown of Planned Parenthood's director, one of their major directors of an entire national program, senior director of medical services for the Federation of America, Planned Parenthood, just talking about selling body parts and how they're trying to get around it to make more money, sitting there drinking wine at a expensive restaurant, fine dining. And again, this is a picture or a video that tells a million words of literally supping, paying for expensive wine and Italian food at an upscale restaurant with a paycheck from babies' body parts. And that's why it's in the news that they just take your medical file when you go to the VA and they stick it in a circular file. And it's been in the news for over a year. We were one of the outlets that broke it. I'm not bragging. I'm just pointing out we're a very legitimate operation that breaks tons of news, that it wasn't that they just weren't getting around to treating people. They were being told by the computer program run by IBM, the Thomas computer, Thomas Watson computers, to kill people, to give them a death sentence. And then now it's in the news that a year later, it's worse than it was. Yeah, because they got away with it. And so now we've played the videos in Texas and other states where you go in, you say, yeah, I'm a veteran, I'm here to enroll. And they go, sorry, we're not even accepting new applications. See, now it's an application to get health care. And this is what you're going to get under Obamacare. And I was thinking about it this morning. About trying to reach out to the public and to show them how they've been conditioned to accept just such incredible evil. And how if one man dies, it's a tragedy. If 10,000 die, it's a statistic. To quote Joe Stalin, if there was a horror movie where there was some evil alien shapeshifter that would hunt down pregnant women and tie them down and then like a vampire suck the baby out of them and eat it, it would be a horrible, R-rated film that would just be terrifying. And people would hate that fictional entity with all their instincts and want to kill it. But if it's government-funded, globalist-funded, Klan-funded, Hitler-supported, hardcore institution that solicits money to, quote, kill black babies, then they're lauded as the most liberal thing since Martin Luther King or whatever. It's like the second coming of Christ or Mahatma Gandhi, and it's wonderful. This woman's sitting there. We played the video the last 2 days. Maybe I should play it again. As she smacks her lips and enjoys it and clearly gets off on talking about baby parts while she's slurping fine red wine. And I agree with Jakari Jackson when he co-hosted the show Tuesday in Overdrive when he said, I laud the camera guy with the hidden camera because I couldn't sit there with a straight face. I couldn't either. Actually, I have an investigative report because it's so important to complete the mission. But, I mean, I'd want to slap that woman upside her head. I mean, have some reverence, at least if you're a body snatcher. At least, but see, she can't even do that. It's not enough they're rendering these babies down like they're a pig getting gutted at a slaughterhouse. Where are the animal rights activists caring about humans? Well, you find out PETA is a eugenics cult. The head of PETA is a follower of Peter Singer, who says, go ahead and kill kids up to age 3, kill old people. The government or a computer should decide when your quality of life is good and then cap you. And they sell it like a right to die movement. And I don't like suicide, but I understand what people do when they're in so much pain. I don't judge people that commit suicide, and I don't think God does either. I can't speak for God, but just at my gut level, in my spirit, I think if somebody's in excruciating pain or their kids have died in a plane crash and they're distraught, and I understand jumping off a cliff, I wouldn't personally do it. But selling assisted suicide and eugenics and euthanasia as if it's just some choice of somebody who's in great pain is not what's happening. This is about devaluing human life and having the state remove people like THX 1138 or Logan's Run or The Island. You know, you go see the movie The Island. It's based on a famous novel. And they've got these people that think they're contestants on a, game show in the future after a biological war, and they're going to get sent to this wonderful island. And the truth is, they're just a clone of a famous person, and then they get rendered down for their organs when it comes time. But then when it's really happening, you don't hear a word out of any. This story's been out for 3 days. It's getting millions of reads on Infowars.com, millions of reads at Daily Caller, and scores of other libertarian websites. And the mainstream media won't even cover it other than having the Washington Post and Salon basically come out and say it's not true. Just like world government isn't real, just like Fast and Furious isn't real, just like Benghazi didn't happen, just like raising the debt limit doesn't raise the debt limit, just like 2 + 2 = 5, just like you can keep your doctor, just like you didn't build your business. You people are not liberals. You are placeholders to neutralize the left that historically was some type of check against out-of-control fascist activity. And now you are the fascist. And then you got the Republican leadership working with you on ending the country, on open borders, on bankrupting the nation, on blocking GMO labeling, on Obamacare, again, written by mega corporations as a galactic screw job to double and triple prices and take doctors out of the mix where computers make decisions, diagnostic systems that get their parameters from the federal database. People say, oh, well, a robot will be impartial. That's the most ridiculous statement ever. I could program a computer to say, don't give care to anybody. And they have liberal movies like Elysium where they reprogram the computers and the robots to give everybody care. But in the real world, they just programmed everything to not give you care. Again, it's inverted reality. Take Jade Helm. Eisenhower says there's an incredible threat in the military-industrial complex. Don't have military operations domestically. The funding needs to be cut. It's taking over. That's common sense. Now we have a militarized police. We have a federal government out of control. And we say, hey, this giant unprecedented drill, we should look at it. And they misrepresent that. I'm going to give you my bottom line take on Donald Trump. It's similar to what I said earlier, but I want to revise and extend my remarks to use a congressional parliamentary term. And then coming up, the latest lies from the corporate establishment media about Jade Helm attacking this talk show host. I mean, they say that we say Walmart are secret death camps. We are the ones that debunked it. They say that we are saying that it's called homeland eradication of local militias. We never said that. And they don't show a link or where we said it. It's like when MSNBC goes, Alex Jones is deeply racist. Alex Jones influenced the Boston bombing. And then they just stop. It's like saying Donald Trump is from Pluto and the spacecraft took photos and then not showing the proof. It's just feeding on their audience. It's incredibly arrogant. But first, I want to go to the latest Mark Dice video. It's up on Infowars.com, an article Paul Watson wrote about it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, now the trendy Obama supporters want Mount Rushmore to be torn down and being replaced with something gay. Here it is.
President Obama has decided to tear down Mount Rushmore, this racist, white supremacist monument. We just took down the Confederate flag. Now Mount Rushmore is being taken down, deconstructed. Do you think that's the right decision? Should we tear down the racist, white supremacist Mount Rushmore monument to continue eradicating these symbols of racism?
Absolutely. Racism is bullshit, as well as gay marriage not being legalized. It's now legal in 50 states, and I think the racism thing is...
Do you think maybe we should replace Mount Rushmore with some...
positive, historic...
with some homosexuals?
Possibly, or even anti-racist, anything.
Okay, so you do support President
Absolutely.
Obama's plan to tear it down?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're just checking. They finally took down the Confederate flag the other day, the racist symbol, and it's a big controversy. They finally took it down. So Obama has now suggested that we take down Mount Rushmore as we continue eradicating these racist symbols from America's past. Do you think it's time to destroy Mount Rushmore to move forward with the New World Order?
I don't know. You pay me, I'll do it. I need money. I'll knock that mountain down.
What do you think about President Obama deciding to reconstruct Mount Rushmore with some black people?
I think that will probably be pretty cool. When are they going to probably start that?
As soon as possible. They're getting he just signed the executive order, and the deconstruction is beginning immediately.
That's cool. Where's that located at?
Isn't that where they found all the treasure, national treasure?
President Obama is now working to remove Mount Rushmore to deconstruct the monument. Do you think that's the right decision? Should we continue with the deconstruction of Mount Rushmore to eradicate these symbols of racism that are spread throughout America?
Good question. I don't know. I think that we're just kind of changing with the times, and we don't really get a say in what happens, you know? I mean, they're going to take him down if they want to take him down, but as far as you and me are concerned, it's not really.
The point is really that Mount Rushmore is all white, slave-owning men, the founding fathers of America.
Sure.
So Obama has decided to take down Mount Rushmore to continue eradicating these symbols of racism. You think that's the right decision?
It's, I don't know, man. Maybe.
President Obama has issued an executive order to deconstruct Mount Rushmore as we continue to remove these racist monuments. You think
I'm
that's
way too smart to fall for this. He didn't issue it.
Good for you,
Drop the mic, walk away.
Good for you, bro.
Drop the mic, walk away.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So that guy knew what Mark was doing. It's like, I'm not falling for this. And that's the whole point. We want to alert our fellow Americans that the general public is dumbed down or in a trance. And if you say for Obama, people will support it. Like foreign insurance companies with the most corrupt Republicans, fat cats, writing Obamacare to let them cut the quality of care, have computers control everything, massively increase prices, bankrupt the country, and increase in the last 2 years global insurance company profits, this is Wall Street Journal, 47%. How do you get liberals who normally, hate big, rich capitalists to accept a corporate welfare deal like that? You tell them racists don't like it, racists hate Obamacare, Alex Jones is racist, he hates Obamacare. I mean, that's what they said over and over again. Other people are racist. And they said, okay, I support it. It's like, good idiot. You're a good moron now. The IBM Nazi computers can now kill the vets. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live broadcasting worldwide. I am your host, Alex Jones. Coming up when I start the next hour, I've got 4 or 5 examples just today of this, and I want to play some of these video clips and go over it, not to defend myself, but to just give you a textbook example of how psyops and disinformation work. Salon has come out with a new article and says that Alex Jones' anti-PC rants could get gay people murdered, and basically says that I'm calling for violence with no proof. Just like they said Donald Trump says all Mexicans are lazy and don't work, when that's not what he said. They just misrepresent. And then we've got another one here out of the New York Times. That's the New York Times today, saying Alex Jones and InfoWars, with no link, no proof, says that Jade Helm is a plan for the total eradication of local militias. I mean, never said that. And they don't show where we said that. And then there's another one here, and I'm going to go over these. It's video. Alex Jones' Marine Toys for Tots clip proves he's a moron. And it's not our website, it's not our YouTube, it's not my voice. Purported to have me saying I hate the Marines and they're the enemy. And all over the country I'm getting calls, whatever the top local AM or FM stations are with the shock jock morning guys, they'll go on air and just say, announcement. I don't know why Alex Jones wants cops dead. I also don't know why Alex Jones says that the kids at Sandy Hook deserve to die. And I don't know why Alex Jones says cocaine should be legal. But I tell you, he's a problem. They're being given scripts, folks. And it's because we know exactly what the globalists are up to. They've dissolved our borders. They're bringing us into world government. The Pope is calling for world government. We decipher the fraud. I mean, I give you hundreds of examples. Here's Bloomberg. They don't tell you, Patricia Clark, that Bloomberg is funding hundreds of millions of dollars with a nationwide initiative with a real estate group to pay off local governments to change zoning where they can raise property taxes 2-3 times and make most of your apartment cost or home cost be property tax. So they give you less so they can get more of your income. That's the admitted UN treaty Agenda 21 plan. Now, do you think they like the fact that I came on the air 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, I've been covering this for 10 years. Their micro apartment plan. They're running the scam in Austin. They're running it in San Francisco, New York. Now it's hitting Minneapolis, St. Paul, Kansas City. Do you think they like, just on that one subject, that I know every one of their scams and will come out and then announce it and do video reports and show you where they admit it? No, they hate me. They're a group of crooks stealing our freedom, running every scam you can imagine, selling off our infrastructure for pennies on the dollar. I know their game plan. I know their fraud. I'm straight shooting. They can't stand it. And they are now assassinating me big time. My name, who I am, ahead, because they've got actuaries. They've got demographics. They've got graphs. They know we've hit the mega zeitgeist. I mean, it is exponential. When I told the story last week about how I took my kids down to the hike and bike trail where there's a big, luscious creek, Barton Creek, on the city-owned Greenbelt, the population-owned Greenbelt, just giant city parks, basically, 40,000 acres of them to be precise. And there were like 30-something people standing around at the waterfall there in the creek, and all of them were pointing at me saying, "That's Alex Jones." All of them. And about 10 or 15 of them came over. 5 years ago, maybe 10 of them would be staring at me and 5 would come over. I walked out of a restaurant a few nights ago and was walking to get an Uber maybe 200 yards, and every group of people that walked past me downtown, every group said, "That's Alex Jones." Now, I don't know how we're reaching this many people. We don't see the numbers on the website. We don't see, I mean, we see huge numbers, but nothing like this. This show is loved all over the world now. Governments listen to it because I'm just a straight shooter. And we have a very accurate history. And I can't believe I'm still alive. Please pray for us. But they are assassinating us right now. I mean, they are just coming out and going, he hates black people. He hates Marines. He wants to kill cops, and then showing no proof. Because they know that as the demographic shifts and as we continue, they know that our demographic is showing we're going to basically end up reaching most people. They want a precondition so that when you say, "Hey, listen to Alex Jones, tune into Infowars.com or watch this video," they go, "The guy that wants to kill Marines? The guy that made up Jade Helm was going to be eminent martial law? The guy that helped the Zarnev brothers bomb those people? The guy that's glad kids died at Sandy Hook? I mean, are you telling me? The guy?" And that's what they're doing. And it is a great honor. I'm not freaked out by it, really. I mean, I am at certain levels, but at the same time, this is what I asked for. This is what I prayed to God for many times, that if I was worthy, that I'd be used as a vessel against those that would hurt innocents. And I don't think I'm anybody special. I've just prayed for 20 years, at least, intensely every night, to be able to reach billions of people and to have the strength and the focus, which I don't think I even have yet, but I think I'm on trajectory to grow into a role if God allows me to live that long. And I don't have selfish prayers. It's whatever God's will is, I'm sure in the great plan will turn out the way it's supposed to be. But I'm telling you, if you'll just say that prayer and ask God to use you to stand up against corruption, that the doors will open and you will get a chance. At first, on a small scale, to fight corruption. At least in my case, it was like I was in training. Every trial, every tribulation, things now that I could easily deal with that I could barely handle 20 years ago, 15 years ago, is just building in boot camp for the even greater stresses I'm going to have to go under. And I'm telling you, God will answer your prayers. God doesn't answer these phony prayers, these glitterbug preachers, these tax collector preachers have, where they get up there and say, "Pray you're going to be rich and you're going to be rich. God will deliver it. Just give me all your money as seed money and then God will give it back to you, the widow's mite." Yeah, that happens sometimes. But she wasn't given the widow's mite back because she wanted to be rich. That was because she did it selflessly. And so God rarely, in my view, in what I've seen, answers selfish prayers unless it's part of some larger plan. But if you really want to be thrown in against the New World Order, God's going to answer your prayer. So you want to suit up on this planet and really fight evil? There's plenty of targets now, and stuff's getting really dark, and they know as the lights go out, people are going to be scrabbling and looking for answers, and there's not many people out there putting out the answers, because I'll tell you why. The reality of the globalist assault is so overwhelming, so mega massive evil, so completely given over to death that the average person can't even basically see it because it's so alien to their nature, to their fundamental nature of being good people. Being failed, being sinful, but at the end of the day, their heart's pointed towards God, and they just can't see the devil right next to them. So watch what you ask for, though, because I'll tell you, all I'm offering is the truth. To quote Morpheus, you take the blue pill, you go back, you wake up, this never happened. You take the red pill, you go to Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep the hole goes. But remember, wait, you're about to eat the red pill? All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. But it is freedom. It is freedom. But the greatest evidence of how right we are is not just the fact that what we keep talking about keeps unfolding, but the fact that the enemy is attacking us. So I'll get into that. But I mean, the new level of putting out fake videos and saying it's me. And again, people wouldn't do this in the past, involved with mainstream media and government, because they knew they could be sued and beaten. They don't care anymore, which shows us that they're no holds barred, pedal to the metal, fully committed, not backing down. This is a war. And you're under attack. You can be delusional all day if you work at Salon or Raw Story or at other White House outfits. You can feel like you're protected because you're in a cult. You're not. I mean, that's why White House-run outlets call me a unstoppable monster. That was just up on screen. And that's why they say I'm dangerous, need to be shut up now. How liberal is that? Shut me up when I'm calling for human unity and to build a world for humans, not for the elite and their new machine kingdom, when they're in the news 5 times a day. I mean, I see 5 or 6 articles a day in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, you name it, admitting that, oh, the future without humans has been designed and planned, and we're going to be phased out. Isn't it great? And yes, you're not going to be driving your car, and yes, you're going to be sterile, and yes, you'll get a license to have a kid, and people can argue, well, look at all these lazy, dumb people. Let's do it. This is targeting everybody. Artificial intelligence to soon eliminate the family doctor. Tech post. I mean, it's here. How many times have you heard me tell you that in the last decade? It's here. This is a plan, boys and girls. And if I hear one more yuppie go, but the computer will be non-biased, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. That computer is programmed and parameters are set by people. It's like saying an electronic voting machine is non-biased. No, it's not if it's got a hacker in it. I look at how soft people are. I wish Mark Dice's videos and our videos here in Austin were a distortion. But we can go out on the hike and bike trail and say the hydrogen monoxide is all over the place. We just need to have it banned for the earth. And 8 out of 10 people, and they'll go, oh, yeah, I've got a degree in chemistry. Leanne McAfee's like, you're so smart. And the guy goes, yeah, I got a chemistry degree from Cornell. He's like, how you doing, baby? I'm pretty tough, aren't I? Yeah, and we need to ban the hydrogen monoxide. It's water, folks. You can go out and call, let's ban sodium chloride. Yeah, let's ban sodium chloride. And, you know, Bloomberg does want to restrict sodium chloride table salt. And they just are helpless. All they know how to do is act confident and cool. And it's great if you're smart and have built something, and then you want to dress nice and act cool. But, you know, quite frankly, I don't even want to associate with people that want to know me or be my friend because I act cool on an elevator or I act cool at some dinner. Because all the really cool people I know are hiding out with a few of their friends, wanting to be left alone, wanting to stay away from everybody else. And I just cannot believe how stupid people are and how they think it's a shield against reality, because it's not. When you got Planned Parenthood's director of their science operations sitting around eating fine meals, the director of medical services, sitting there at a, I mean, how archetypal, how incredible, gobbling food and drinking red wine, talking about gutting babies and how to keep them as whole parts to, you know, when they're chopping them up. Because, see, they don't want to tell the woman, hey, we want to do a cesarean to keep the baby alive. In China, they do that. They'll grab women, take them, they're having their second or third kid, gut them, get the baby out, and keep the baby alive until the harvesting is prepared and the people are lined up and flown to Japan. They don't really fly into China. You fly into Japan. Then they gut them on the runway in a mobile execution van. If you're a new listener, I'm not joking. Just type in mobile execution van. They've got mobile rendering vans for the babies as well, and they just drive up because they know a woman's pregnant. They wait till about 8.5 months. They come in, they grab her, they put her under, they unzip her, they get the baby, they feed it, they give it formula, get it ready, then call the different folks, blood test type. They'll fly in 6, 7, 8 people that want a liver, want kidneys, want a heart. You know, they rendered the corneas, the blood, everything. And then they fly, you fly into Tokyo, and then a jet lands 1 hour after the baby's been gutted, and you're in surgery 2 hours later. I mean, does anybody feel safe with that going on? You think your life matters? See, if you don't stand up for those kids, nobody's going to stand up for you. I don't have to worry. All you people that serve evil will be judged. And what's sick about you is most of you are unconscious and just think if you make a joke about everything and giggle about it and drink some more red wine because you're a trendy, I mean, you support Caitlyn Jenner. That's what's moral. And what did Caitlyn say? Whoop-de-doo, a guy has makeup and a wig on, like I care. But because you've got that token power and you watch the different shows and the sitcoms and everything's cutesy and funny, that's just the cloaking device for this devilish takeover. You think you're protected. I'm going to go to break and come back with the Donald Trump info and give you my take on that. And there's so much news, and we got 2 big guests coming on. I'll tell you about that coming up. Briefly, we are going to sell out of Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality within the next week. But we should have some in 2 to 4 weeks. Super high quality, but MSNBC makes jokes about it. It's just, I don't know, what is it, 12 or so super-powered known herbs that help get your glands going and block estrogen mimickers. And nature, you know, knows best. And it's just really amazing and high quality. It helps fund our operation. Survival Shield X2 is also selling out. Don't know when we'll get more of that. Super high quality, the good halogen your body needs, so they make big jokes about that. That's selling out. We got a lot of other products, like the ProstaGuard is back in after being sold out for 2.5 months. The highest quality prostate health formula out there with high dosages of the different compounds that are admitted to be good for your prostate, just massively. Things like the saw palmetto berry powder and lycopene. That's just 2 of the 10 ingredients that are in there that all work synergistically together. InfoWarsLive.com or 888-253-3139. And basically, I'm here challenging the gladiators in the ring under full attack. And if you fund us, I'll gear up even more and head them even harder. I'm going 100%, and so just support us. You see, they've got to discredit us big time because we told you world government was coming. We told you it was 3 mega regions. We told you they would take over the infrastructure. We told you they would limit resources. We told you they would have driverless cars and what their plan was, and now it's all happening. So what do they do when Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and my reporters and writers and myself have been chronicling this for 20 years? And others before us. Well, they just come out and they misrepresent what we're saying and what we're doing. And they've done the same thing with Donald Trump. Now, this weekend, and then throughout the week, I watched hours of Donald Trump videos on CNN, NBC, Fox News, the lengthy 20, 30-minute interviews he does. And I went back and did research on Donald Trump. He has supported assault weapons bans. He has supported Democrats more than Republicans in the past. He does own casinos, and I'm not judging him. I'm a libertarian. You can do that. I don't think it should be illegal, but I have a right to say I think it's degenerate for most people. I'm not a gambler, so, you know, I mean, I've been to Vegas for video shoots before and gone to a roulette wheel, played some blackjack, won money, lost money, but watching the people there totally enamored in a cult, I thought was sick. And knowing that I was being chumped, it's kind of like I smoke marijuana a couple times a year to actually see what the latest stuff does, not because I like it, so I can report on it. Well, the 5 or 6 times I've gambled was so I could experience it. True experimentation. And I can tell you I don't like marijuana, and I don't like gambling. That doesn't mean you should be thrown in jail for marijuana. It doesn't mean you should be stopped from gambling. But I'm kind of digressing here. I've done deep research into Trump, and I think he is a self-made person. I think he's very articulate, very charismatic, very smart. I agree with about 95% of what he has to say. When he says bomb the oil fields, that's common sense. I said that a year and a half ago when they first took over. I said blow up the oil fields, fix them later. But our government wants them to have those oil fields. It's a proxy army of Saudi Arabia. So see, if Trump went further like Rand Paul and said that, then I would really support him. Rand Paul is better, but Rand Paul should be turning up the heat and being a little more like Trump. He should be, quite frankly, as radical as Trump, because Trump's not being radical. And Gary Johnson, who I want to get back on the show, former New Mexico governor, has probably been in studio 5, 6 times, probably been on 15 times. And I really disagree with his political points he's trying to get, saying that Trump is catering to racists. In fact, we'll put the actual quote on screen because here it is. Donald Trump is appealing to racist voters, says former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson. I don't want to have anything to do with it, says Johnson. It's embarrassing to me. And you got Jeb Bush, everybody else saying the same thing. Embarrassing to say the illegal aliens have a lot of hardcore criminals amongst them, and they're committing crimes, and Mexico is dumping its criminals on us. That's what Cuba did. That's what areas of Eastern Europe, it's a fact. And again, it's this attack on reality. So I'll say this. I'm going to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't backed off and he has lost some money and lost some TV shows over this. And he does say he doesn't care about the money now. He doesn't want to lose his country. And it's good to see an old-fashioned, a patriotic Yankee like Donald Trump, and a guy like that could unify this country. The problem is I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, but he's got to be given the benefit of the doubt because he's saying what the other Republicans won't. So I'm going to stop attacking Donald Trump. I've warned, but that said, he's better than anything else we see right now. So what he's saying has to be supported and defended.
Thank you for listening.
It's more important than the man, it's the idea. But I think he's going to betray us. That's what my gut tells me. And Spidey's never wrong. All right, I want to finish up with the Donald Trump analysis. Then we're going to come back on the latest on Jade Helm, as that kicked off yesterday, and the hit pieces in the news. Then we're going to get into the latest on Planned Parenthood, the new Joint Strike Fighter that's cost $400 billion and is already 15 years old. Total boondoggle. That is coming up. And so much more. New immigration wave coming. Census Bureau predicts 1.24 million more immigrants will enter the U.S. in 2015 and get everything for free. But I got to hand it to Latin American immigrants. They get free stuff and go get a job on top of it. So then you can actually live a pretty good life. Oh, boy. That's what Walmart for about 3 years recommends their employees. Oh, we pay you below the poverty line so you can get food stamps and assistance, which is a subsidy to Walmart. But folks don't get when they go to Walmart why all the other jobs go away, and it's because it's a leveraged takeover. But I guess all the Chinese slave goods were good while they lasted, weren't they? So I think former New Mexico governor has come out with, we have a term in Texas, I think other places, chicken, S-H, bleep T. And I'm sorry to have to be a little profane and not use the King's English there, but that's why you have those words. Sometimes they're descriptive. Donald Trump is appealing to racist voters, says former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson. What a load of manure. And here's that clip.
He is appealing to a segment that I'll just label racist, and it exists, and it's out there. And
oh my God.
You know what? I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It embarrasses me. And like I say, I think that the electorate will paint the entire Republican Party with a broad brush as a result of Trump, and it won't be a positive.
And because he's deported the Mexicans, they'll have to paint their own fence.
Gee, and he employs tens of thousands of people, and he's in the service industry. How many of those are immigrants? How many of those?
All right, let's stop right there. You know, they sell this idea, and I don't dislike Johnson. I like a lot of his ideas, but he is the type of libertarian that just says get rid of all the borders. Hey, like you've been in the studio, Johnson, you can't do it when they can have babies for free and get welfare. We're going bankrupt. There's 7 billion, basically, third world people. The country is already in trouble. And the statistics are there that of the illegal aliens from all over the world, whether they're from Russia, Germany, or Mexico, that a lot of criminals come here and change their names and then commit crimes. I mean, that's a 101. We are the dumping ground for criminals. I mean, next he'll say Australia wasn't colonized as a penal colony. We're like a penal colony of Latin America now. And let's go to the other clip that I was mentioning where Donald Trump says it like it is and says bomb ISIS oil fields. He said this a week ago. And they go, how preposterous. Next he's going to say you need a scuba tank at 100 feet underwater, that you're not a fish. Here's a clip.
The situation with ISIS has to be dealt firmly and strongly. When you have people being beheaded, I would love not to be over there. That's not our fight. That's other people's fight.
He was against the Iraq War.
Revolutions, that's whatever you want to call it. Religious wars. I would do things that would be so tough that I don't even know if they'd be around to come to the table.
What sort of things, though? I mean,
I would take away their wealth. I would take away the oil.
But wouldn't you be destroying the wealth of Iraq?
No, let me there is no Iraq. There is no Iraq. Their leaders are corrupt. Excuse me, there are no Iraqis. They're broken up into so many different factions in Iraq.
But you don't think bombing Iraqi oil fields, which are now in the control of ISIS, but bombing Iraqi oil fields is going to anger huge numbers of people?
I would bomb the hell out of those oil fields. I wouldn't send many troops because you won't need them by the time
That's right. The troops aren't allowed to target anything. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now into the second hour of this Thursday, July 16th, 2015 worldwide transmission. And throughout this hour, I'm going to be covering a lot of news and getting your take on all of it. Dr. Jerome Corsi is going to be joining us to cover the economic worldwide meltdown, the latest on ISIS. He knows Donald Trump. He's going to give us his take on him, on whether he can be trusted or not, or whether he's a Democratic Party operative. This is all coming up. Riding shotgun with us today is former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. We'll be talking about the latest things going on with him and also other news items. So it's always fun to have him ride shotgun with us. I also appear once a month or so on his TV program to give commentary as well. So I could just say the governor's a commentator here on the broadcast. We're honored to have him. Before we get into the latest on the attack on Jesse Ventura that affects free speech in this country, I mentioned I would get to this in the second hour. There are 3 different articles today. There's actually 5 of them, but 3 I'm going to cover and get Jesse's take on, because he's in the same boat where they assassinate your character before they kill you. Solon says Alex Jones' anti-PC rants could get gay people murdered. And then they don't show where I said anything against gay people. I'm a libertarian. I just said, why is it the new national obsession? I mean, you know, what did Caitlyn Jenner do? It just gets a little weird that That's all you ever hear. It's just. I don't think our national mascot thought it was a bald eagle, not a guy in a dress. I mean, I don't care. It's just like, I mean, force-fed this stuff. So then they say I'm going to have gay people murdered, and they don't show proof. Another one, top secret writer says Alex Jones' Marine Toys for Tots clip proves he's a moron. And it says basically our reporters out there, not our reporter, it's a guy saying I respect the Marines, but this is propaganda to recruit kids. Well, that's not even us. And that my voiceover then talks bad about the Marines and says they're the enemy. And the video doesn't even say that. And it's not me on the video, and there is no voiceover. Here's another one. There's 5 of these. This is the New York Times. A report on InfoWars website operated by Alex Jones, libertarian-leaning talk show host from Texas, suggested the name Jade Helm was an acronym for Homeland Eradication of Local Militias. And then it goes on to say that we say imminent martial law is coming and that the troops are going to kill people. This is dangerous. They don't link to us saying this. We never said this. We said it's ongoing conditioning for a police state, the militaries and Stars and Stripes everywhere admitting they're training for domestic operations. I mean, Jesse Ventura's TV show covered this 3 years ago and got banned. The show on the threat fusion centers in FEMA, which is now admitted. Army.mil admits they prepared, quote, re-education camps. That's a Paul Watson article. And then there's 2 more stories today where they say I did something and show no proof. And used to this happen once a month. It's now every day. And I don't even watch a lot of mainstream TV, but anytime they mention Jesse Ventura, I've been on the elliptical like 2 weeks ago, just randomly, yeah, Jesse Ventura, the guy that's, you know, suing widows and the guy that's glad troops are dead is appealing, and then actually they're appealing. I mean, here's what I'm saying. I've been doing this 20 years. Jesse Ventura's been a talk show host, mayor, governor for longer than that, and a TV entertainer, movie star longer. I've never seen levels of lying at this level. And whether it's Ron Paul or Rand Paul or Jesse Ventura or Alex Jones, and even though a Jesse Ventura and a Rand Paul are different on some issues, when the enemy media is assassinating someone, you better believe they're good. Now, they're not really assassinating Trump, in my view. They're just building him up. But what he said is true. A lot of criminals do come over here. A lot of criminals run from the U.S. to Mexico. But the point is, they're giving him attention, not just assassinating and then shutting up. They're building him up for some other reason. We'll get Ventura's take on that as well and get the latest on his appeal, where 33 media giants, you know, News Corp, the New York Times, Time Warner, are suing him in court to overturn his libel, defamation, unjust enrichment that didn't affect Chris Kyle or his wife. All lies. Hundreds of millions have been made. They've made tens of millions. Ventura filed suit after this happened. They wouldn't back off. But before Kyle was killed in Dallas, tragically. And I see this meme. He's the guy that sued a widow. No, he didn't. He sued Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle died. But see, they want to kill Jesse Ventura's name and have him lay down and crawl into a political grave. Well, you know what? I'm not crawling in a grave either. But, Governor, we're in the same boat here. Why do you think they're intensifying these lies so bad that I, quote, say Marines are the enemy? They've got talk show hosts saying all over the country locally, so I know it's a talking point that I want cops dead when I'm the opposite, and they know cops listen to this show, and I'm trying to stop a race war, civil war. I mean, why do you think they're doing this so intensely right now?
Well, obviously, you and I have had an effect on them. Otherwise, they'd ignore us, Alex. If we weren't dangerous to them, they would ignore us. But clearly, we present a danger to whatever their agenda is or whatever they're trying to accomplish. You and I are flies in the ointment. And so they will choose different methods of dealing with us, whatever that method may be. I mean, I'm listening to what you're talking about and the attacks you're getting now, and I fully have all the sympathy in the world for you because I've been there, done that, and for 3.5 years in my court case over the American Sniper book, which the chapter written about me was a complete fabricated lie. And we proved it in court to a jury. We proved it to a federal judge, and apparently the media doesn't. They want to be able to entertainment business also, too. And so they want to be able to make profits. And then, yeah, they'll pay a little off for slander, but they'll make 10 times more. And they don't want this unjust enrichment, which has been the law since 1960. They want it changed so that they can profit and the person hurt cannot get any of those profits from them. And that'll make it a business. You know, it's much like when Howard Stern was on regular radio and he would get fined $10,000 by the FCC. Well, the station was happy to pay it because in return, Howard would make them $100,000. So it would be, and what business wouldn't pay out 10 to get 90? Nobody would do that. And that's what the media is trying to do in overthrowing my case. They want to make it so that you, if you are slandered, will never get enough money to make it worthwhile to go to court. Because court is, it's unbelievably expensive. It's unbelievably drawn out. I mean, my case should have been done with 2 years ago.
Oh, listen, I mean, I can't imagine what you've gone through. And again, it's not about us. It's about the truth. This affects everybody, but it's a microcosm. I have a pretty good friend who barely knew Chris Kyle, been out shooting with him a few times here in Texas. And just over my relationship with you and defending you, he's like, you know what, Alex, I just really don't want to hang out anymore. And let's still be friends, but not friends. I mean, that's cult-like, where people buy into a lie and then buy into the fact that you either choose one side or the other, when a jury found, very hard to prove, libel, as you know, and slander, and you proved it. I mean, you know, Chris Kyle lied.
It was obvious. I mean, we had photographs of me out there. I had no marks on me. We had eyewitnesses that I sat with all night long who were there before I got there, and I left before they left, and nothing happened. I went to a big graduation next day. I had no marks on me. I had nothing. And the whole thing, what was interesting in the case, get this, how they keep the truth out. I wasn't allowed to say that I'm on warfarin, blood thinners. All I could say was I was on blood thinning medication. I was not allowed to say what it was.
But you do not drink. How long has it been since you've had a drink?
Since 2002. 2002, 2003, right around in there would be the last time. That's when they put me on blood thinners for life. And you cannot drink alcohol and take the medication because it throws your levels off. And see, they didn't know I was on blood thinners, but yet I wasn't allowed to say in court what type of medication I was on.
But I have sat many times with you in a restaurant late at night after a shoot or whatever on an airplane, and you're drinking water and I'm having a beer. I mean, you do not drink. I mean, I've witnessed it.
No, not at all. And get this, Kyle's budget that they had $1,000 to spend in that bar that night on booze. $1,000. Now that buys a lot of booze.
Especially when you're getting Navy SEAL prices.
Sure, you know, you're in McPee's, which is the Navy SEAL bar, and you're buying kegs and all that. They're giving discounts on it there because you're the team guys. So these guys were all drunk. They were ridiculously drunk, and it showed up in the testimony in court. It got embarrassing for me as a former Navy SEAL to sit there and watch these guys try to cover for their buddy. And it was so blatantly obvious. Not one witness testified they heard me say anything derogatory, and not one witness testified that they saw me get hit. So in essence, none of them should have even been allowed to testify, but they were allowed to because they were all hearsay. They didn't see anything or hear anything. They had nothing to testify to. But they still got up on the stand and attempted because he was their buddy and their stand. And if you'll die for someone, you'll certainly, lie for them.
Absolutely. When we come back, I want to shift gears and get into the current state of the world, what you think is most important front and center news-wise. Jesse Ventura is our guest. I'm Alex Jones. We're back live. Jesse Ventura wanted to say something to the audience. Then we're going to shift gears into the news. A police officer has been shot in Chattanooga, Tennessee, U.S. Naval Recruiting Building. A police officer was shot just in the last hour at a Navy recruitment building in Chattanooga, Tennessee. NBC affiliate WRCB reported it was not clear whether the gunman was on the loose. And see, in the future, they'll just say that I'm happy that happened. I'm not happy that happened, but they would just say, why is Alex Jones happy? That's an example of media lying that we're seeing happening. The U.S. Navy confirmed a shooting at one of its buildings and said officers, including ATF agents, were investigating the scene. They call it a horrific incident, but had no immediate details. So we'll track that as it unfolds. That's from the Associated Press. And now two. This just broke. It's up on Drudge. We'll get it on Infowars.com. 2 military facilities attacked in Tennessee. At least 2 military facilities in Tennessee were attacked in shootings Thursday. That sounds like ISIS, folks, including one at the Navy recruitment building, officials said. Chattanooga Mayor Andy Burke said at the news conference that it was a very terrible situation. Police have set up a command post. U.S. Navy said in a tweet that there was a shooting at Navy recruitment building in Chattanooga. Law enforcement officials told recruiters at a facility 7 miles away that Old Lee Highway had also been attacked by a shooter in a car. Could have been the same person. Then it might not be terrorism. We will continue to track this as it unfolds here at Infowars.com. This is a short segment, long segment coming up. I want people to be able to call in and talk to Jesse Ventura. The toll-free number is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Specific questions or comments for Jesse Ventura. But in the time we have, you just said something that made a lot of sense about the Mexico situation during the break and some of the freeloading that is going on. I don't think it's racist to say there's freeloading going on, but at the same time, it certainly does get inflamed by the media. So elaborate on where you stand on the Donald Trump situation.
Well, first of all, you know, if Mexicans come up here, illegals, and get on our welfare system, if indeed they do that, then blame the people who created a system that allows that to happen, which is your Democrats and Republicans. If they are able to do that, and I don't know if they are or not, but if they're able to do that, blame the system that allows it to happen instead of blaming the poor person. Second of all, I get irritated because I'm off the grid down there. I live 900 miles in Mexico. And whenever somebody with the stature of Donald Trump makes a statement like he has, believe me, we as Americans down there feel the repercussions of that. All of a sudden, Mexican people stare at us. All of a sudden, you know, hassles start happening. Maybe the federales pull you over more, whatever it might be. But it does nobody any good because what Donald Trump is saying does nothing but anger Mexican people because you can't paint them in a broad brush. Certainly there's criminals in Mexico just like there are criminals here. We ought to talk about the fact we have more people in jail than any other country in the world.
Sure.
So therefore, don't we have the most criminals?
Well, Jesse, I mean, I agree with your point that we shouldn't blame the TSA. We should blame our Congress for doing it. And then Congress sits around criticizing the TSA when they shut it up and control it. So I totally agree with you. I get your point. That said, I don't trust Donald Trump because he supported assault weapons bans, gave money to Hillary Clinton. But I've actually watched his full speeches. And he said they're not sending their good people that have money in many cases that are illegals. He says a lot of them are criminals fleeing justice. Then the media said Donald Trump says Mexicans are crooks. So I think some of that is the media spinning things to make it worse.
Well, that may be true, too, because, you know, as we both know, the media's in the entertainment business, and the more entertainment and spin they can throw on anything sells copy, you know? Look at the trash they give us on TV and make us focus on things that are completely irrelevant.
I agree, but just real quick, you personally have seen a backlash in the last month and a half from this Trump thing?
Have I? Well, have I personally, to me, a backlash? No, other than people know that I know Donald, and they'll ask me, and I just say, look, I don't answer for Donald, but I think what he's saying is utterly preposterous and stupid. I said that, you know, to state what he states, and I said, I don't think I'd care to have a president that would say things like that about people of another country. That's not very good diplomacy, in my opinion.
No, I hear your point overall. The problem is you're in a nice area of the Baja. A lot of Mexico has collapsed. And so that is a larger problem. I wish Mexico well, but we'll be right back with Jesse Ventura, your phone calls, and we're going to cover the waterfront straight ahead. We'll also talk about his new TV show. We're going to be going back to your phone calls here in a minute. Steve, Amicus, Karen, Mike, Laura, and others to talk to former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. You can follow him on Facebook and Twitter. GovJVentura on Twitter. Aura.tv/off the grid. Political scientist, expert on financial collapses, and more. Dr. Jerome Corsi will be joining us in the last 30 minutes of the transmission. We're going to go back to Jesse Ventura in here in just a moment because he does want to thank the audience. He was telling me, and I forgot to let him do that. New article on Infowars.com we're going to be getting into. Once again, Prince Philip demonstrates his hatred of humanity. And he said 4 times in newspaper interviews that we need to wipe out 80% of the world population with a bioweapon, or that he'd like to come back as a virus to cull the human population 80%. He's now made a new statement, the Duke of Edinburgh. So while everybody's busy hating the Confederate flag all day, because I told you it wouldn't end with the Redskins, now they want to blow up Mount Rushmore. And I get people's points, but it's just never going to end. The real Nazi fascists are running around right in front of us and being worshipped by tabloid television. That's coming up. Briefly, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to give you a third-party review. We have these linked to some of the biggest third-party review sites out there with a 5.0 rating, with thousands of ratings for InfoWarsLife.com. Temple Builder 79, just one of the latest reviews from Tennessee. He says, I've been taking X2, that's pure, real nascent iodine, for 2 weeks. I normally wake up not wanting to hear my alarm clock. Now I get up 15 minutes before it goes off and get aggravated when my alarm clock for going off when I'm in the shower. My wife is more full of life. I have seen a big difference in her attitude towards projects around the house. 2 thumbs up. We will definitely be trying other products. I normally use supplements and have lately stopped all my workout supplements to try the InfoWars Life product line exclusively. No other brand will be used. We'll be making more reviews as I progress. Bottom line, yes, I would recommend this to a friend. We're linked to major, highly respected third-party review sites. You can go read it for yourself. No one went out and found drilled from the earth pure iodine. You take the stuff that's produced in our labs here in the U.S., and it turns into gas on top of a stove. You put it on a 100-degree stove top, it turns into purple gas. I mean, that's how pure it is. And your body's full of fluoride and bromine and bromide that fill the glands, make you sluggish. You see thyroid problems off the chart. The warning here is I felt like crap 2 weeks into it for about a week. Not too bad, but felt like I was detoxing. That's why I've lost so much weight. I'm still got another 20 pounds to lose, but I've lost 60-plus pounds the last few years. And it's been InfoWarsHealth.com products, Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's been some of the other stuff, but Super Male Vitality, Survival Shield, it's all natural. The Super Male Vitality is not testosterone mimickers. It just goes in and gets your glands to start producing like you're supposed to. Men have sperm counts down almost 90% what they were in the 50s. Testosterone for a 40-year-old man, on average, look it up, is about half what it used to be. So you don't need to take testosterone, in my view, personal view. You just need to get your own body producing what you're supposed to have. And that's what I've done, and it's dramatic. We're going to sell out of X2 the next week. We're going to sell out of Super Male the next week, and it'll be a while till we have X2, only about a month or so or less till we have Super Male and Super Female, but those are selling out. Prostagard, that has the saw palmetto and the lycopene and 8 other ingredients, that was sold out for 2.5 months. We ordered a bunch of it. It's back in. InfoWarsLife.com. InfoWarsStore.com is the big blanket site. And there's free shipping in the month of July. Never been a better time to try these products. And what do you lose? You're supporting the InfoWar that supports everybody else who's promoting freedom and promoting stuff outside the box. So I want to go to your phone calls and get into Iran. Jesse Ventura wants to talk about that. I do too. get into Jade Helm that just kicked off yesterday, and so much more. But you can also call toll-free if you'd like to order any of the products, 888-253-3139. And the mailing address is on the website as well. But I can give that to folks because I never seem to give the mailing address out so that people can mail order as well. So the P.O. Box is on the website, P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. And listen, this is the house the people built. Old, young, black, white, Hispanic, liberal, conservative, people that are outside the box, know we're being lied to. You have funded us buying the high-quality products, so we don't have to depend exclusively on sponsors. We depend about 60% on our own funding, 40% on sponsorship. And that way I don't have to compromise, don't have to be under the control of sponsors. We're moving away from sponsors entirely, is my goal, so that we can build a true independent media operation where the buck stops with me and we promote things that I know are good. So thank you all. You are the InfoWar, buying war bonds when you shop with the good guys at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsHealth.com for the longevity line. You can get free shipping there when you sign up. And you can get auto ship, and you can get sign up for $10, be a distributor, and get 30% off at InfoWarsHealth.com. Now, enough from me. Jesse Ventura, you wanted to finish up speaking about 33 media organizations lining up against you. We posted the article at Infowars.com with your latest video. I want to say congratulations. This is the skinniest I've ever seen you. You have really trimmed down, and the camera puts 10 pounds on you. This is amazing. Jesse Ventura, will you stand with me against big media? See the video, see the article at Infowars.com right now. Don't let the establishment take away your rights. You've got a call to arms up there, and I know you had some words for our audience, Governor.
Well, first of all, my diet's even easier than yours, Alex. I eat anything, but I only drink water and work out.
Yeah, you call it the drink water diet. Tell us about that.
No, the only liquids I consume is water. It's a simple thing. It's back in the old days of bodybuilding. Back when the early days, they would always tell you, if you're going to get your calories from what you eat, not from what you drink. And if you simply drink water, it eliminates so many calories to lose weight. That's the only thing I've done when you remarked on how thin and good, and then I work out hard. You know, you got to exercise, so you train hard. I eat anything. Heck, the other night, I'll eat pizza, I'll eat anything. But if you simply drink water, that'll be enough.
I think this is the skinniest I've ever seen you, even when you were...
I'm the weight I was when I got out of the United States Navy right now. I'm down to 230.
Wow. And you're a big guy.
Well, 6'4". So, I'm the weight I was when I got out of the United States Navy, because I'd been pumping iron for about 2 years, and I'd bulked up from 212 when I got out of BUD/S, and I'd probably put on another 18 pounds pumping iron and getting older. I was then 22 and a half years old. I was filling out. But enough of that. First of all, I want to thank, if I can for a moment, the people that have sent in to my post office box. The letters have been phenomenal. Even what's touching me more than the financial help is the little notes and things that people send with it. It's given me the will and the desire to keep the fight going. It's giving me to know that there are the people out there, the silent majority is out there, and it's giving me the will to continue the fight. And so I want to thank everybody on behalf of me and my family for that, and I will forever be indebted as such. But going to Iran, let me just state this, Alex. If I was an Iranian, I wouldn't like us either.
Well, break down your view on the Iran situation.
Well, let's look at Iran. Way back, they had an elected president, elected by their people, and the only thing he wanted to do was nationalize the oil. Well, that's something you don't do. Talk to the late Hugo Chavez. Well, you can't anymore. But if you're an elected president in a foreign country and you decide to nationalize your oil, you will incur the wrath of the United States government and military, probably. And that's what happened in Iran. They had an elected president. We led a coup d'etat with the CIA, overthrew the elected president, and put in the Shah, who was a brutal dictator.
Operation Ajax, 53. They did it with a false flag operation.
Whatever. But the point is, we overturned an elected president in that country and put in a dictator who was one of our puppets. And that went on for 20-some years until Iran finally overthrew the Shah, and you got what you got today in there. But the point is, if I were an Iranian, I wouldn't like us either. Imagine in the United States, it seems to me we did that to Britain and called the Revolutionary War, didn't we?
Well, I'll tell you,
a foreign country in our country dictating to us what would happen. Well, imagine if that happened today.
I agree with you.
For that, of course not.
Well, let me give folks the rest of the story on Iran. Anybody can look this up. It's truly sick. Then the Shah started wanting to build reactors, even though he was a bad guy, and had the Savak and all those guys torturing people. Then he started wanting to build his country up, so they basically took him out. He died of cancer in 2 weeks there in England. And then magically they fly in the Ayatollah Khomeini out of Paris and let him get in and then do a secret deal with the CIA to give him weapons. The true sickening thing is our criminal government helped put radical Islamicists in as a way to curse Iran with a nasty political regime, just like we're putting ISIS and al-Qaeda in control of Libya, Syria, and other areas. What is your view on how nakedly they're openly funding ISIS and then claiming they're fighting them?
Well, I'll tell you how I feel about it all. In this next presidential election, if I'm not involved in it, I'm normally not a one-issue person, Alex. Normally I look at the big picture and I make a decision that way. But in this 2016 election, I will only support candidate or will vote for a candidate who will get us militarily completely out of the Middle East, let the Middle East do unto the Middle East whatever they want to do unto themselves. We're not going to be party to it anymore. We're getting the hell out like Ronald Reagan got the hell out of Lebanon when our Marines were hit with the truck bomb over there. He didn't go to war. He got the hell out of there. And that's who I'm going to vote for. And right now, there's only two candidates that I know of that are espousing that position, and that's Rand Paul and Bernie Sanders.
That's right, and the media is really lined up against Rand Paul, who was the leader until about a month ago.
Well, they're lined up against Bernie, too, and Bernie's drawing 12,000, 15,000 people everywhere he goes.
Well, he says a lot of great stuff against the big banks and the bailouts. The problem is socialism doesn't work. I don't like it.
Well, that's true, Alex, and you can take that, but you got to remember this. Neither does pure capitalism. You have to have a balance of both. We've been able to see that. You see that pure socialism don't work. The Soviet Union, they fell apart. You also see that pure capitalism unabated don't work. 2008, right here in our own country. What you've got to have, Alex, is a balance of both.
Well, I mean, I understand if you're super wealthy, you can take care of poor people and stuff, and that's fine. That's the welfare clause. But this is corporate welfare was the 2008 bailout. I don't think that was capitalism. So see how they've scapegoated.
It was capitalism running amok with their handcuffs off. They took away all the regulations that ran Wall Street, and they let pure Wall Street capitalists do whatever the hell they felt like doing. And look at the result of it. It bankrupted our country damn near.
I agree. I want to go to some calls.
They robbed us blind, and none of them went to jail. None of them.
And Eric Holder's gone to work at the same law firm that legalizes it all. It's truly amazing. Let's go ahead and go to Karen in Colorado. You're on the air with Jesse Ventura.
Hey, Jesse, Alex, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Ventura, my husband served 21 or so years in the military. He was stationed over after the Bosnia-Herzegovina conflict, I suppose you could call it. He called me frantic, and he had been interrogated, and he never could fully divulge to me exactly what happened. But one of the things that he said to me was, well, I guess my brother's not my keeper anymore. So with all of the attacks against you, I went through Fort Carson yesterday, just kind of curious to see what's going on with the Jade Helm 15 and how things are changing. Went by the 168 motor pool.
Sure. I mean, you're throwing out a lot of stuff, ma'am. I appreciate your call, and we are tracking it. There's been 2 attacks in Tennessee, shooting attacks on military bases. At least one person's been shot, and we're going to follow that and see if that is indeed an ISIS attack or something. But I think, here's the deal. Al-Qaeda was completely synthetic, made up, in my view. The problem with ISIS is it's a couple 100,000 people they've allowed to be recruited. The West is using it as a Saudi Arabian proxy army. And so where do you think this is going, Governor Ventura? Because you were saying off air earlier, the real issue is criminals from around the world are coming up through Mexico. So why did Trump make it about Mexicans?
Yeah, I mean, the point is most of the immigration coming through our southern border are not Mexicans. They're coming from Central America because of the wars and things that have been fought there. A lot of them are children, because they don't have parents anymore. They're all dead. And they're trying to get here, they're trying to get anywhere. But that aside, to me, this whole thing, ISIS wouldn't even exist today if we hadn't invaded Iraq to begin with. Our policy in the Middle East has been disastrous. We've spent $1.7 trillion in the war on terror since 9/11, and what the hell do we have to show for it? Nothing.
All right, let's get another question, and we'll get the answer after the break. Mike in North Carolina, go ahead.
Yeah, Governor Ventura, I wonder if you have any advice for people that are in the military today, the men and women. What would you advise for them to do if they should receive an illegal order? And also, I was wondering if you'd had a chance to read the book Methodical Illusion by Rebecca Roth.
Answer that first. No, I have not. Second of all, my advice to anyone in the military is remember this. When you went into the military, you raised your hand and you took an oath to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Always remember that was your oath. That's what you swore to do. Protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if they're asking you to do things that fall and then violate the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, then they're asking you to break the oath that you took when you enlisted in the United States military. You took that oath, so did I, so did every veteran in this country. You took an oath to defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
That's a great answer, Mike. I skipped the network break, so I'm going to allow you a comeback on that. But I loved listener Chuck and guest Chuck Norris's response to this, who's Mr. Military. His brother died in Special Forces over in Vietnam. He was a military policeman himself. Chuck Norris came out, and they said, oh, Chuck Norris is anti-military now, and the Democrats are fundraising on that. How ridiculous. It's not the military we don't trust. It's that those that are leading them, commanding them, it's political. We know it's in Northcom documents, it's in Stars and Stripes, that they want to have domestic operations. Chuck Norris said it's good to question your government. I mean, that's patriotic, isn't it, Jesse?
Absolutely, and remember this, the knuckle draggers, the guys who are actually out in the field doing it, they cannot question anything. They're given orders, and they're required to carry out their mission.
They need us to question for them and watch their back.
It is our job as citizens to question what we're doing with our young men that are serving and wearing the uniform. And it's patriotic. Don't let anybody tell you different. If you stand up against a war of putting our men and women in danger, that is not an act of treason, it's an act of patriotism.
Well, I agree with you, and they don't have their rights to question. They need us to protect them. What do you make of the fact that it's been a year now, admittedly, where they put people on don't treat list at the VA that have operable conditions, and they use a IBM Watson computer. They go, it's okay, the computer said don't give them treatment. So they program the computers. Remember, IBM was using the Holocaust to deny care.
Well, nothing surprises me. Once they're finished with you, when you serve in the military, you believe, here's another, I'm coming out with a new book of American conspiracies, Alex. dealing with our POWMIA. When you enlist, they put into your head that no matter what, if you're in a combat zone and you're left behind, our government will do everything and anything to get you back. Baloney. And I show that in my next book, that if you become a political liability, forget it. They ain't going to do nothing to bring you home. And people need to know that and go in with a clear mind about that when you join the military, that that's a bunch of hogwash, that they're going to do anything and everything to get you home.
Well,
you become a political liability, because, Scott Spiker, they named a base after him. He was alive for over 10 years in Iraq, and they didn't care because Dick Cheney at the time was the Secretary of Defense in the first Gulf War in 91, and Cheney declared him dead. So it was politically embarrassing. And they left that guy over there for 10 years until he finally did die.
Absolutely. They use the honor of the military and the people that actually do the fighting, who do have courage, as reflected glory, stolen glory, whoring them out for themselves, a bunch of chicken hawks like Dick Cheney. It's truly, truly sickening.
Yes, it is. It's horrible. And people, guys that go, when you go in to serve your country, don't go in blind. Understand what you may be asked to do. And as that earlier caller, always remember, you take an oath to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Mike, anything else? The caller from North Carolina that asked the question?
Yeah, thank you for your service, Governor. Please read the book, Methodical Illusion by Rebecca Roth. Thank you.
All right, good plug.
Thank you for your service.
All right, who's up next here, Harmon? Laura in Missouri, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex and Jesse, thank you so much for letting me in. I'm very concerned about some things that we've been learning this week, and I was wondering what you all have heard about it, or if you have. They're talking about a large shipment of these portable morgues being sent to Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky.
Who's talking about it?
And it's been online. We've seen it for the past couple days.
Okay, I'll look into it, but I mean, there's constant rumors. I'm not saying this is a rumor, but I mean, listen, Northcom admits they're preparing for mass casualty operations. They admit they've ordered tens of millions of body bags. They admit there's a huge gear up for collapse. Look at what's happening in China, in Greece. It's in the mainstream news that elites are getting armored redoubts. That's a great question in general. With Northcom saying they're preparing to, quote, stabilize the U.S., what do you think of the world economy and China and Greece and capital controls and all this creepy stuff that's happening?
Are you asking me, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Well, to me, the whole idea of all this debt is going to come home to roost. Everybody's in debt to everybody. When you look at our national debt, it's astounding. When a child is born today and already is $50,000 in the hole, and won't even work for another 18 years. So the Dems and Repubs have created, and whoever, a debtor society of doing everything on debt. It's interesting because I was brought up and my mom controlled the finances. We got a new car every 4 years. She traded in the old one and paid cash. My mother never had a car payment in her life because she had a different, after living through the Depression, she didn't get debt and didn't live with debt. Today, we have a society that's built around everyone living in debt, making you subservient and making you, in its own way, a slave.
And people act like it's like free money to get a loan. I mean, I don't operate that way either. People look at me weird and go, you could borrow tens of millions, do it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. That's just not how we operate. We're trying to build something truly sustainable here. I want to jam in one more call. John in Alabama. Quick question for Jesse Ventura.
Well, actually, Alex, it's not a question, but I could make it a question for Mr. Ventura. Mr. Ventura, what are your thoughts on this Operation Jade Helm? I mean, I've been following it briefly, and then my father, who travels a lot, has seen Jade Helm, or what he swears is Jade Helm vehicles everywhere, and
all right, let me stop you there. The governor's got to leave in a minute. I'm going to come back to you.
I got to tell you, I'm ignorant to this. What is this about?
Well, it's a complex issue, but they're having military drills all the time. They announced it. They misrepresented it to say that we say it's martial law. We didn't say that. And then now there is military equipment and all sorts of activity everywhere. So we're not sure exactly what it is, Governor. It's a mystery.
Well, you know, I've always felt that when the defense bill allowed that amendment that Levin and McCain put on that said that the United
Hold on,
States
70 seconds. I got to come back to you. I got to go to break. 70 seconds, Jesse. Don't hang up. We'll come back and finish up in 70 seconds. All right, Jesse Ventura got cut off. We're talking to John. Maybe have time to go to Dion and Eric before he goes. We got 5 minutes in this segment. Then I will break down the latest on Jade Helm after Governor Ventura leaves us. Governor, you were making a great point. It's in the defense budget since 2007 and subsequent ones to get rid of posse comitatus. It's in the Army Times. I mean, they're admitting there's already been a takeover. So we're not saying this is an imminent takeover. They've already gotten rid of posse comitatus. Elaborate on that.
Well, John McCain and Carl Levin, the Democrat from Michigan in the Senate, put an amendment to the defense bill, which, of course, nobody can vote against the defense bill or you're anti-American, right?
That's right.
So, you know, we all know that. And so they put this amendment on that allows the U.S. military to operate freely inside of our country, which has never been allowed before. And so that went through that defense bill. So anything that's happening now is not surprising to me. I remember I went to the local CBS affiliate. I walked in there as the former governor and said, why aren't you reporting on this amendment? The reporter took it all down, looked at me and said, well, it'll go upstairs. We'll see if it gets on. And it never did. Mainstream media didn't say a word about that amendment that McCain and Levin did that turned loose the American military inside our country.
And Jade Helm is this simple. They take a big drill that's very mysterious that they say will be simulating illegal things, will be in plain clothes in 10 states. And we go, wow, this is all part of the militarization of police. Eisenhower warned, and they go, Alex Jones says they're going to kill locals. And they just keep saying that without showing me saying it. So then when they don't kill people, they go, see, it's okay to have military on the streets. It turned out okay. That's the PSYOP.
Well, it's not okay to have military on our streets. That's supposed to be police and civilian. The military is the military, and they should not be operating inside the confines of our country. I think that's far more dangerous than building a wall between us and Mexico.
Absolutely. Well, Jesse, I know you're not really a technical...
You know what? Maybe that's why they're building the wall, Alex, so we can't get out.
That's what Ron Paul said.
Anybody ever think about that? Think about that for a moment, people. Do they want this wall down there so you can't escape?
Actually, they're changing with capital and currency controls and making it where you can't get your money out of the U.S. right now. That's actually admitted.
I don't know about anything about that, but all I know is people should always remember a wall works both ways.
No, I know, but I'm saying I agree with you.
It keeps people in.
I agree with you. That's actually what they're going to use it for.
You know?
All right, well, let's get a final comment from John in Alabama. John,
Sure.
you just heard his take on it. You're saying your dad's seeing a lot of military operations around the country. Go ahead.
And he actually did the other day of one of these vehicles in a Poe dump close to where I grew up. I mean, there's not even 1,000 people in this town where he took the picture of this vehicle. But the real reason I called, I'm currently, and I'm probably about to be on my way out of this town. I'm currently living in Ozark, Alabama, close to Fort Rooker, the aviation base, the main aviation school of the state, as far as I know. And, you know, I see a lot of military personnel every day. I've been noticing lately there are military personnel walking around with no name tags, no identification of branch of service. And 2 nights ago, I was in the Walmart, and they can call me crazy, they can call me a conspiracy theorist, whatever. I mean, you've got a man on the other line, you know, Mr. Ventura. I mean, you're a great man. I watch the show, but people have called you a crazy, outlandish conspiracy.
No, I know. He's got to go. I'm going to come back, and you can tell us what you saw in Walmart. But bottom line, yes, they are taking the name tags off. There's weird operations going on everywhere. They're getting ready for something big. And, Jesse, do you think it's financial, or is it war with Russia, or what is it? What does your gut tell you?
I don't know, Alex. You know, it's on so many fronts today, and it's coming at us from different angles and everything. You really don't know which really one it will be. You know, is it the lockdown of America of, you know, putting us all in our houses now, and we can only go out when we're told to go out because for fear that terrorists are going to get us and that ISIS is ready to invade us, which I find completely laughable.
Yeah, that's it. Well said. Thank you. So I have 5 different news articles. The New York Times, Salon, Top Secret Writers, and others coming out and misrepresenting what we're saying, in some cases completely. Salon says that Alex Jones' anti-PC rants could get gay people murdered and then show no example of me saying anything. The New York Times, in an article titled, "As Jade Helm 15 Exercises Begin, Texans Keep Watch." And it says that I believe that it's a plan to exterminate and kill militias. And then don't link to it. And then this article is one of the biggest fabrications I've ever seen. You talk about preying on your audience. You talk about manipulating your audience. The New York Times says, with a big photo on the front of their article, warning, the door you are about to break down is loaded for your, and then it's got an image of an assault rifle. And implies people are just waiting to kill troops. And then goes and quotes us saying the military's coming to exterminate you. And then don't link. I mean, how do you read the New York Times and then there's no quote? They don't even put it in quotes. They just say Alex Jones and InfoWars believe that it's a plan to exterminate the militias and then don't show where I say it. I mean, if you're at Infowars.com, there'd be multiple links where they say it. I mean, if we say Louis Farrakhan has come out and said something, we show it. Or if we say Rush Limbaugh said something, we show it. But again, it's like Rachel Maddow and those shows going, Alex Jones is deeply racist. Alex Jones is behind the Boston bombing. And then they don't show it. And the new talking point, we've heard it locally, every day, and then I'm told it's going on in every major city. There is a talking point to say, I used to like Alex Jones, but, you know, he wants cops dead. Yeah. Or I used to like Alex Jones, but he's glad the kids died at Sandy Hook. Stuff like that. And then you find out, you discover it is a literal hit piece. And they have this new one. Alex Jones Marine Toys for Tots clip prove he's a moron. And then it goes on to say that I say the real criminals and the enemy is the Marines. The clip is accompanied by a voiceover by Alex Jones talking about it's his right to film the real criminals. So they say it's me in some other city talking about how Toys for Tots is a psyop, and it's a bald-headed guy who looks like he's 55, and he doesn't even really say that. He says, I support the military, but this is a psyop to get kids, you know, involved. I mean, obviously it is. And then you go, there's not even a voiceover. It's not even me. And this is what I deal with on a daily basis now. And if you go back 2 years ago, the headline was, Pentagon promises to stop lying because of Drudge. And it's a 45-minute long speech by the Undersecretary of Defense. And they've got this huge auditorium full of PSYOP people, civilian and enlisted and in brass. And they go, we promise to stop lying now. We're going to engage in every city and town with military, working with your newspaper, your website, and your news to make sure the truth gets out. And everybody looks totally freaked out with their head in their hand because they've done this in Iraq. I mean, this is a rollout takeover. And when they say, because of Drudge and other alternative media, we can't lie anymore. And then, like, people that aren't part of the PSYOP, enlisted well, non-commissioned officers get up and start going, you mean I don't have to lie anymore because I don't like lying when I... And they're like, oh, thank you, ma'am. You're done speaking. Oh, thank you. Because it's some of the most powerful video ever if you know what you're seeing. They're rolling out the domestic takeover and the PSYOP, which they just legalized last year by an act of Congress, saying you can now engage in lying domestically. That was even in the Washington Post. CIA propaganda now legalized. And that's what it is. That's why they want to overturn the courts and say they can lie about people and just get on the news and say Alex Jones is a pedophile. Or, I mean, let me tell you, when they get up there and say I'm behind the Boston bombing, I mean, do you want me to play that clip again? Or I'm, quote, deeply racist, and don't play a clip where I want gay people to be killed? Anyone that listens to this show knows that is a complete lie. And then I've decried folks going out and attacking people for their sexual preference. But it doesn't matter because maybe 80% of the public in this country doesn't know who I am. In some pockets, it's like 60, 70% do. But still, even if the people know who I am, it's kind of like, oh, he really said that? Here's what's happened. They've been caught lying, so they've tripled and quadrupled and quintupled and infinitied down with lies. And so now, as I told you, I said when Jade Helm starts the 15th, you are going to see them everywhere say the laughable nut Alex has been discredited. Jade Helm was not martial law. Nothing happened. When we never said it was going to do that, it was further conditioning. And they will just sit there and assault their audience with fraud. While they get away with taking hundreds of thousands, 280+ thousand troops have died in the last decade not getting treatment. That's leaked VA documents. And here's the good news. There are people inside the VA leaking the truth. Here's the bad news. They're trying to arrest whoever leaked it now. See, in the past, you'd get a medal for leaking information when Tosh Plumlee did it in the 70s and the 80s if you exposed criminal activity. Or it's 238. I inverted the number. I flipped it. 238,000 U.S. veterans died waiting for health care, leaked document. And that's just what the VA says. And it's on purpose. They aren't going to give you health care. And it's operable stuff. Oh, you got skin cancer? 97% operable if we cut it off? Come back in 6 months. Oh, Joe Biggs, you got blown up in 2 armored vehicles. So your esophagus is burned by the smoke and the fire, and you cough up blood everywhere. We're not going to fix it. Here's some pills. I don't want pills. Hey, my leg got blown up, and my knee's out again, and you didn't do the surgery on my foot right, where his foot got blown up. And they just go, we're not giving you surgery. Now get out of here. That's what they tell them. Oh, but if you're illegal, you get the surgery or you get to have your baby for free. And we're not against these people, but why is it free for them and not for the vets who've earned it? Because the vets are already here and they're done with you. They want new people because we aborted 50+ million of our kids, so we do need new people here so Social Security doesn't collapse. But they're not even doing that. They're already rated Social Security. I mean, these are facts. Now, John in Alabama, finish your point. You said you were... You said you're there in Alabama outside the air base, and there's just troops suddenly with name tags off everywhere. Yeah, that's what's happening. That's part of Jade Helm that is in Alabama. They expanded it to Alabama. It was 7 states. It's now 10. And it's just, I mean, I see it myself. I couldn't wreck and get video of it, but I was in San Marcos yesterday doing an investigation that we're working on, and I saw a black MRAP driving the other side of the road. And then I saw Homeland Security people in blue uniforms walking out of a gas station when I was getting gas, and they knew who I was, by the way, and saw me and kind of did like this and got in their vehicle. I'm not kidding. I mean, as soon as I looked over the gas thing and these people were getting in their car, it was 2 older guys with, with short beards. They just went, oh, God, that's Alex Jones. We are just overrun with DHS. So tell us what you saw in Walmart.
Okay, You know, I've always been the type of guy to mind my own business, you know, until all this stuff started happening.
I get it. You're just a regular guy. What'd you say?
And it affects me as an American citizen. And, you know, I was raised on patriotic beliefs to stand for and uphold the Constitution because all the men in my family were in the military. And I'm in Walmart the other night down here. It was real close to 1 o'clock in the morning if it wasn't 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, fine. What'd you see?
I'm walking through there, and I see these two guys in black suits, and then they've got other guys around them. They're talking to a Walmart manager. And I walk past, and, you know, people can tell me I'm crazy, full of crap, whatever. Like, I tried to take a picture, and they took my phone. They had UN badges on their lapels. The little globe with the leaves, the same thing on their flag was on their lapels. They had ID badges to Fort Rooker, UN personnel. Like, they are here in America, man. They don't want anybody to know. As soon as I tried to take a picture of the guy, I was tackled to the ground by what I'm assuming is his bodyguards, arrested by the city police, and my phone was taken, and they still haven't got it back.
All right. Okay, if this is true, and I believe you, look out. We're going to jump on an airplane right now. I want you to put you on hold. I want you to scan whatever email, the arrest, the paperwork, and we will send reporters up there because, you know, that is just outrageous. And, sir, there are UN troops all over the place. They have Russian troops, and I heard about this years before it was confirmed, training to take on domestic groups. It's all part of secret treaties. And the treaties are breaking up right now. But, yes, they have Russian troops training at secret bases in Denver and Colorado Springs. And this even came out in the Denver Post. They admitted it's secret to take on domestic groups. So it's a global government. It's State Department Memorandum 7277. Freedom from war. It's global government after the global crash. So I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to get your contact info right now. More of your calls coming up. Dr. Jero, of course, he joins us as well. The economic meltdown happening worldwide and on Donald Trump. He knows him well. But John in Alabama, I'm not saying I disbelieve him. I mean, he sounds like a real person, but he also sounds really freaked out, which would be normal, but then he's not that clear. When were you, just answer my questions very simply, because this is a big deal if it's true. When were you tackled by who? John from Alabama, when were you tackled and by who? Harmon, did you put him back on? He's back in? Can you hear me, John?
John.
Okay, well, you got his number. Call him back at home. He probably hung up and the line's dead. Yeah, he dropped. See, I'm right. He dropped off. Call him back. But it's paying attention to stuff like this that's important. I've had the military take footage from me in San Antonio at gunpoint. So I know this goes on. Delta Force. Going around buying everybody off. So I know this stuff goes on. I know there's UN officers all over. Our military is under the UN treaties. I know they're involved in domestic psyops saying I hate the Marines and that they're the enemy. I better watch it. They'll edit that together, but people know they're lying. And that I want to kill gay people and that Jade Helm is imminent martial law and they're going to kill everybody. They'll probably take that and edit it and put it on CNN because this is an enemy force, people. And they've got to keep the public in the dark. They've got to keep the public ignorant about this. Operation Jade Helm. Why conspiracy theorists fear the U.S. is invading Texas? See, we're not saying they're invading Texas, but they can find anybody, probably their operatives online, saying that it's an imminent takeover and then project it onto us when the takeover's already happened. So, see, we have an incremental takeover happening. How do you discredit people that are trying to stop that? You lie and say that they say it's imminent so that when it's not all happening at once or complete, then it legitimizes whatever else happens after. They have us crying wolf. They cry wolf for us so that people don't listen and see what's already happened. It's a false flag crying wolf. Jade Helm is a false flag crying wolf operation. They go on to say what the conspiracy theorists believe. Then they quote me, "This is just a cover for deploying the military on the streets," said Jones. "I've hardly ever heard of something joint like this unless they're planning an invasion." And that's true in context, but not out of context. I was talking about for overseas operations. Because I went on, I remember this. This was when we first talked about it with Joe Biggs. I went on to say, so this is a conditioning operation. Fears have also been stoked by a public letter allegedly written by Texas Ranger to the Common Sense Show. The letter has been shared widely and is treated with huge respect by conspiracy theorists. And they show no evidence of that. So they're betting a lot on this, and I meant to give this to the guys. In fact, I told them this morning, and I need to give it to them. It's in the David Jones. My dad screenshotted it for me in the text. Give it to Buckley. This is going to happen right now. This is newsworthy. The Democrats are using Jade Helm lies to raise money. And my parents are on some Democrat mailing list because my mom gave money to an environmental group to save the springs. They don't save the springs. They steal private property and then build mansions on it later. But she admits that she was wrong. It's like 25 years ago. So that's how they're on the Democratic Party mailing list. So I guess that's a good thing, that we get all this intel. And it's screenshotted in there. And then it just goes on from there. I mean, I'm in hundreds of news articles a day the last 2 days, just lying about what I stand for, lying about what's going on. And this is so, again, anybody questioning militarization of police, the military on the streets of America. Remember, the end posse comitatus would never come. There'd never be troops. Now they admit they're domestically prepared to, quote, take on the Tea Party and gun owners and veterans. They leave the border wide open, and then we say, see, we told you something big's coming, and then they freak out about it. John in Alabama is back. John, we're going to break here. When were you arrested? Okay, I get...
Come again?
Holy hell. John, when were you arrested?
Let's see, what's today? Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning around 1 a.m.
Okay, and you say you don't know what they charge you with, or did they not charge you?
They just took me to the city jail in handcuffs. They kept me there for about 2 hours and then kicked me loose, said that they were cutting me loose on a recognizance bond to come back and get the paperwork that I would need for court and everything, and it would tell me what I was charged with. Now, I'm not a criminal, but I have been arrested.
Sir, I'm sorry I was short with you. We had some phone problems and you'd hung up. You sound credible to me. Okay, so you've given us your number. I want you to get us your paperwork. I got Corsi coming up, but I want to call you back in overdrive. This is important.
Jones and the GC.
I want to flesh this out, so thank you, John. Sorry if I sound angry. Dr. Jerome Corsi joins us. Then I'll go into overdrive and take some more phone calls and finish John's amazing report from Alabama, if he can hold with us. Dr. Jerome Corsi is a Ph.D. from Harvard University in political science in '72. He's currently a senior staff reporter at WorldNet Daily. He's a 3 or 4-time #1 New York Times bestseller. He's an expert on political violence and terrorism and advised the State Department and other agencies in secret operations. In 1981, he received a top-secret clearance from the Agency for International Development, where he assisted in providing anti-terrorism training to embassy personnel. For 25 years, Dr. Corsi developed working with banks throughout the United States and around the world to develop financial service marketing companies to assist banks in establishing broker, loan, deal, insurance subsidiaries, provide financial planning products and services to their retail customers. He's a noted financial services speaker and writer. In fact, that's what he's better known for by the general public than somebody fighting the New World Order. And so we're going to stop right there, JeromeCorsi.com, WND.com. No stranger to this show. He's probably been on 40 times in the last 10 years. So I want to cover the waterfront with him in the 25 minutes we have left now. I want to get into his take on Donald Trump, knowing him, talking to him a lot. Is he for real, or is he Democratic Party operative like George Will said? Well, I mean, John Boehner's a Democratic Party shill for as far as I'm concerned. Then more importantly, world financial meltdown. How serious is it with Greece and China and the rest of it? Separately, I never said Jade Helm, everybody knows this, who listens to this show, was imminent martial law. I said it's part of the militarization, the end posse comitatus that everybody's talked about. They have hundreds of articles. They're back. They haven't done this in a few weeks. Hundreds of articles a day saying that I want to kill gay people with no proof. The New York Times, that I believe it's an imminent plan to murder Texans. And they show no link. They just say a plan to eradicate the public. And just a whole bunch of other craziness that I want to kill police. And then, I mean, they're really assassinating my character right now at a level I've never seen. All of this is actionable for defamation, libel, slander. The problem is I can't sue them all. So it's a court of public opinion. Defend me, pray for me, get the word out. But this is them getting rid of the propaganda ban for the Pentagon and CIA domestically. This is what they do. This is hardcore. Our government's been seized by criminals. They're using the powerful organs of propaganda against me, against Rand Paul, and against others. And it is unprecedented. And I see it happening to Donald Trump and want to defend him because what he's saying is true, and he's being misconstrued and taken out of context. But I know he was for the assault weapons ban. He supported Hillary. And Dr. Corsi years ago talks to Trump a lot and had his concerns. So he joins us now to cover the waterfront from WND.com. Doctor, thanks for taking time out.
Hi, Alex. It's always a great pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you've got the floor. What do you want to tackle first?
Well, I mean, let's follow up on Donald Trump and your comments on Donald Trump. I mean, first of all, I think Donald Trump is, this time, I think he's for real, much more than before. And I don't even think that's the real question. The real question is that Donald Trump has moved the debate of the presidential election onto a ground that is, one, telling the truth and saying things directly, not worrying about being politically correct. That's drawing Donald Trump a very big audience. And secondly, on immigration, he's put the immigration topic on the front burner. And he's really ignited the topic such that even Hispanics can say, look, we're not for a round of illegals that are criminals. We are not invading the country to take it over with criminals and undesirable people. I think that this is the proper time to call the Obama administration for failure to enforce immigration laws. And Donald Trump is on that agenda. He's doing a good job, and I support his efforts. I think he's really leading the debate. And I'd say quit worrying about if he's going to stay in the debate or where it's going to go. The fact is he's doing a good job right now, and he's probably likely to continue that as long as he's winning support and gaining attention. And I don't see any end to this.
Well, I sure hope he's for real because he's really smart. He's charismatic. I think he'd make a great president if he won't come after our guns, if he'll really cut taxes. Because let's face it, you couldn't hold this country back if they just cut taxes. The system wants a Cloward and Piven. They don't want us to become wealthy. They want to control us. They want us poor. So, yeah, anybody could fix America if they went back to our basics. But in your gut, do you think he's going to step down later and let Jeb Bush slide in and beat a Rand Paul or somebody else?
Well, I mean, he's got a Ross Perot factor going right now. And if Ross Perot had stayed in the race, we may never have had Bill Clinton as president. And I think this time around, Trump sees the opportunity. Trump could actually emerge victorious this year. I think that's in 2016. I think it'll be a great surprise. I think he's going to be in the GOP debates. He's going to set the agenda. And my guess is Trump is not going to want to pull out. He's going to want to stick it through this time. And I'm certainly hoping and pulling that he does. In the immediate, the change that he's registering in the presidential campaign is extremely positive because it's putting on the agenda questions that those of us who have opposed this new world order, this entire loss of America, which, Alex, I've joined you in fighting against. This is something Donald Trump is championing, and I want to see him continue. But let's move on to, there's so many topics to talk about. You laid out a good agenda. I mean, Iran. I mean, I cannot believe how fast the Obama administration, I predicted when I wrote Atomic Iran in 2005 that John Kerry would be the one who would actually negotiate a way to give Iran nuclear weapons. And here, 10 years later, published that book in 2005, John Kerry has pulled the same Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton that was done with North Korea and saying, why don't we give them, enriched uranium and let them have a nuclear industry on the promise that they won't make
By the way, I got to interrupt. How on earth, when he was nowhere near the position he is now, or Secretary of State, how did you predict that he'd be the man 10 years later to do this?
It was an instinct. I mean, I knew he was, when I wrote the book, he had just lost the presidential campaign. And I wanted to make it clear, that it was John Kerry who was pushing this agenda that we ought to trust Iran the way we were trusting North Korea.
And it was your book that's credited as shooting him down.
Yeah, what was the Unfit for Command, which I co-authored with John O'Neill, was the book that destroyed Kerry's presidential opportunity in 2004. And by 2005, I was on Kerry because I knew Kerry was being paid and by the Iranian government through this Hassan Namazi, who's now in federal prison. I always believed Hassan Namazi was an agent of the mullahs, and he was here supporting Hillary Clinton, supporting John Kerry. He's in federal prison for violating bank lending laws. He was a criminal to begin with. And I pointed this out when I wrote Atomic Iran. I just figured John Kerry got paid to make sure that Iran would get nuclear weapons.
So you're saying John Kerry's really a foreign operative?
I'm saying John Kerry, from the time he ran for president, was happy to accept Iranian money through Hassan Namazi, and he knew that his mission was to allow Iran to get nuclear weapons. I've said that about John Kerry since 2005.
Well, it's clear they're letting him get them, but from my military sources, special forces people pretty high up, even 6-7 years ago, I'm on record saying the Saudis secretly have some nukes and that Iran already has nukes. They just want to be able to have this nuclear program to then come out and claim later they made them themselves. What's your intel?
Iran wants to be able to make its own weapons, so it doesn't just have one. It doesn't just have one or two. Iran wants the world.
So hold on, your sources confirm then, or you think there's validity that they have a couple of weapons?
Oh, they could easily, anytime they want to. I mean, they've been able to do that for years. But they want to be able to have more than one when they actually use it, so that they could have a threat to retaliate against other countries that are going to retaliate against them. Iran is planning a nuclear war. What Obama has just put into place with this agreement is the certainty now that we will have a nuclear war in the Middle East. It's only a matter of time. And the Iranians will wait until they have enough weapons to be able to retaliate against anyone who counters them for dropping a dozen nukes on Israel. It only takes 1 or 2 nukes to destroy Israel.
And we have a, quote, Iranian obsession, but also a Saudi obsession with Iran. Don't these two groups, Shiite, Sunni, hate each other even more than the West?
I've been writing, and if you take a look at a book I wrote called, Israel Can't Wait. Israel and Saudi Arabia have been working together, including on military exercises, I think for at least the last 5 years, planning a strike on Iran. I think Israel realized, I certainly told Israel, told the top government in 2008, 2009, I was over there when Obama gave his speech in Cairo. I was delivering the message to top leaders in the Israeli government that Obama was going to turn on Israel and abandon Israel.
I remember you said that on this show, and I just didn't believe you. And I got to say this, you have been probably the most accurate person, other than like a Ron Paul, that we've ever had. I mean, you really know your stuff. I'm not kissing your butt. It's just true. It's almost like you got a crystal ball.
Well, it's... God has given me the ability to kind of look at things and be able to assess them. I sometimes feel like the books that I write, it takes 10 years for them to happen, and then they happen. America for Sale is also going to happen. That's another book. So I'm saying the agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia against Iran is a certainty, and when Israel attacks Iran, which I think it almost inevitably will do, it will be with the assistance of Saudi Arabia, with the Obama administration, if it's still in power, actively opposing Israel. And the Jews in America who have any allegiance left to Israel better realize that Obama is an enemy of Israel.
Well, that's my next question. 6 years into this strategy to overthrow Gaddafi, overthrow Egypt, overthrow Syria, overthrow allies or neutral groups, to then put in Saudi Arabian-backed head choppers, like that's Twilight Zone. I know our government's got corruption and problems, but you know, Obama's cousins and people and funding the Muslim Brotherhood. This is an insane strategy.
Well, Obama has been Muslim Brotherhood from the beginning. And Hillary Clinton has Huma Abedin, who was her, I'm convinced, lover and her top associate for years. And the two of them have been Muslim Brotherhood. Hillary and Obama have been the greatest gun runners in American history. And they are secretly, and have been secretly, going back to when Chris Stevens was first sent into Benghazi. It's been Hillary and Obama running guns to the al-Qaeda-affiliated militia and into Syria, all in favor of the Muslim Brotherhood, because these groups have Muslim Brotherhood origins. And, you know, this is what I said was the cause of Chris Stevens' death. He was trying to take the weapons back. They were looking for the...
Well, that's my next question, and Colonel Schaefer said it within a couple of weeks of it. I've had Tosh Plumlee, CIA whistleblower. Right. They've all confirmed it. Why would the Clintons send in Stevens if they had to whack him to cover up the weapons transfer?
Well, first, see, the initial idea was that Stevens was going to go in and provide these covert guns, which, by the way, they're now prosecuting Mark Turi for, the Department of Justice, setting up Mark Turi. I'll be writing about that probably next week. But Mark Turi is innocent. The Clintons have framed him, and they prosecuted him with the cooperation of Obama and Loretta Lynch in the Department of Justice to be the fall guy in a scheme that was really Hillary's scheme, running guns through Chris Stevens. And then after Gaddafi fell, which was, you know, a destabilizing move in favor of the Muslim Brotherhood, was an insane move, because remember, Gaddafi had been funding Reverend Wright and Louis Farrakhan when Obama was a politician in Chicago. Obama was benefiting from Gaddafi through Farrakhan and Reverend Wright. Obama turned on Gaddafi because Obama wanted to destabilize Gaddafi in order to put the Muslim Brotherhood in. Now, the guns that were being run were getting out of control, and they lost a bunch of these man-pads, and Hillary began worrying going to have airlines taken down by weapons that could be traced back to Gaddafi and ultimately to her and to Obama. They're trying to have Chris Stevens in September when the 9/11 event occurred, the attack on Benghazi. Chris Stevens was trying to work with Turkey to get these weapons found.
So they ordered him basically taken out, stood down, had the Benghazi security force that they had paid, who were a bunch of al-Qaeda people, come in and slaughter him.
Well, and Stevens was expendable at this point. And in their strategy, if Stevens had been captured, and I'm convinced Stevens was alive when he was found in that compound, that he could have been exchanged for the blind sheik. And that was another one of the plans that Obama had in the works, that Stevens would be set up, attacked, captured, and to have a prisoner exchange for him. In the meantime...
But the radicals got mad when 2 Navy SEALs from down the street came in and wiped a bunch of them out, so they flipped out and killed everybody.
Well, and also they got mad because Stevens was trying to take the guns away. He was trying to find the man-pad. You know, terrorists are fine if you want to give them weapons. If you want to start taking their weapons away, they get a little bit mad. And they decided it was time to whack Stevens because they didn't like him going out to find the man-pads and get them back.
Sure, because whoever got those, they said, we can sell these off for 10 times the money or use them and hold the entire West hostage, blackmailing Hillary that she gave us these.
Precisely, and that's what the Obama administration has been trying to hide with Benghazi from the beginning. They're still trying to hide it. They won't let you see Hillary's emails. They won't you realize that Hillary set Mark Turi up to be the fall guy in a gun-running stream through a Qatar. You know, Judge Napolitano wrote an article and said the same thing I'm saying right here. I had the pictures. We published at WND the photographs of the weapons that were seized in that Qatari, the 2 boats from Qatari, trying to bring European-made weapons into Libya that had been arranged by Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's one of the biggest gun runners in the world.
Do you think she can get away with all this?
No, ultimately I don't. I think Clintons are going to face a major defeat within the next few months, and their foundation may actually be closed.
Very exciting to see these criminals fall. Plus, you and I both know they're after us. Just the sooner they're politically destroyed, the better. This is serious business. I want to come back and get into the economic situation worldwide with one of the chief writers at WND.com, Dr. Jerome Corsi. let me tell you what's so important about Infowars.com and this syndicated radio broadcast / TV. We make it safe for the other cowards in libertarian and conservative and just pro-survival, pro-sanity media. We make it safe for them to cover this stuff later. And we've moved conservative libertarian radio so far towards reality, away from their neocon, fake conservative behavior. It's amazing. And the guests we have on, like Dr. Corsi and so many others, that just have been proven to be incredibly accurate, is a godsend. That's why it's vital to tell friends and family about the broadcast. It's why it's vital to buy the books, the videos, the T-shirts, the high-quality supplements at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. You are funding the reporters, the websites, the crews. All of this cost a lot of money to run. I couldn't do this in New York City or L.A. Texas is more inexpensive. I mean, this type of operation in New York City would cost, I don't even want to tell you how much it would cost. The point is, we have got the meter running. We have high-quality products at very competitive prices. We're the place to shop. We're the place to support. We don't take your money at gunpoint like the government and give it to MSNBC as stimulus money. We're here saying we got quality products. We promote freedom. We're fearless. Please support us. InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping in the month of July. We are running out of some of our very best supplements, Super Male Vitality and the Survival Shield Nascent I9X2. Prostagard is back in. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And I'm done ranting. We're going to go into some overdrive and talk to John Alabama, who I apologize, got cut off by the break, and a few others. But Dr. Corsi, you've got 3-4 minutes to finish up. You're an expert on the economy. That's why I wanted to get you on, but more has happened since then. Please come back soon on that. But how serious is what's happening in the world economy?
Well, I think you've got two things going on. One is that Greece is absolutely in free fall, and this agreement is really Greece's loss of sovereignty. It's a German bank takeover of Greece. Greece is going to have to sell major assets. The German banks are going to move in and own Greece. This is going to be worse than the Nazi occupation as far as the Greeks are concerned, and it won't last long. You're going to see riots in the streets of Greece. You're going to see panic once the Greek population realizes the controls they're under. Greece is going to go bankrupt again. The European Union and the Germans are not going to keep sending a socialist country like Greece more money so that people who are not working can get free food. Germany's not going to do it for long, and this is going to collapse. This is the beginning of the collapse of the euro. It's the beginning of the end of the dream of the European unity and entity. It won't work. This is a draconian, banker-driven central bank solution to a problem created by the central bankers to take over a country, and it's not going to work. The Greek people are going to be reduced to poverty. They're going to be suicides. They're going to be looking for food in the streets. I mean, this is a disaster of major proportions. Second major crisis is that the Chinese stock market is suffering 1929-like losses, and it's going to continue because that's a stock market again built by debt. These debt mountains built up around the world are going to come collapsing down. The central bankers are going to try to keep the zombie economies going by more zombie loans. They're going to try to prop Greece up. They're going to try to prop the stock market up in China. They're both going to collapse, and it'll be the beginning of a major worldwide recession.
When do you think that's going to happen?
Happening right now. Happening even as we're speaking.
So you think this fall and winter will be spectacular?
I think by October, the U.S. stock market could crash.
Unbelievable. Dr. Corsi, WND.com. Thank you so much. Amazing. Get him back on as soon as possible for a whole 30 minutes on the economy. Overdrive coming up. Oh, man. Incredible time to be alive. Well, when somebody like Dr. Corsi says we're probably going to see a stock market crash in the U.S. by October, listen, I'd give it about a 60% chance. And they'll use the crisis just to get more bailouts, more power. We're going to do an article on this that'll be on Infowars.com. Here it is from my mother's phone. Do a document cam shot. You can see that she has 18,700 emails in her inbox. Her phone was at 9% power here. I support our troops. Welcome to Texas. I'm a Texas Democrat. And they're trying to gain money off the fact that Greg Abbott, Ted Cruz hate U.S. troops. I mean, just a complete and total lie. So this is what they're running, using the incremental military takeover as a way to then discredit people that pointed out. And, of course, it used to be the Democrats that were worried about a military takeover. I mean, any country should be worried about that. That's what happens all the time around the world. It's what Eisenhower warned about in his farewell address, but they act like it's weird. Now, John in Alabama, thank you for holding. If folks just joined us, you live in Alabama outside an air base, and you're in there at Walmart at 1 in the morning a few days ago, and they grab you, take you to jail, but don't charge you and say, come back later. I've seen that with demonstrators before. And you were there, and there were guys with UN name tags with a guy in a black uniform, and they tackled you, and the police came and took you to jail. Amazing. And if this is true, it's incredible. What else can you tell us about this? What did the police say to you in the squad car? Was anything else said to you?
Well, Alex, I don't know about how censorship is on your show, so I'm pretty sure I can't quote them verbatim, but in a nutshell, they told me that I effed up by wanting to get picture happy with my iPhone. And, you know, I told them I was just, I mean, I could be wrong, but I told them I was exercising my First Amendment right, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and they didn't care. Like, my iPhone is probably no more, but...
Wait, they didn't even give you your iPhone? They didn't give you your phone back?
No. When I left the city jail, they told me that I could pick my iPhone up when I picked my paperwork up. And, you know, like I told you earlier, you know, before you went to break earlier, you know, I've been arrested a few times. I know the ins and outs of it. You're supposed to be formally charged. You're supposed to get paperwork as soon as you get kicked loose, whether it's you have to pay to get out or you get a recognizance bond, a property bond, what have you, and they give you your property back.
Well, sir, here's the deal. I would call the local media, and I would say, troops stole my iPhone at the Walmart. They won't give it back. That's a news story. And if they won't cover it, we'll come up there. And I'll go in there with a video camera to the police department and say, give him his iPhone back. And let them try to arrest me. That's fine if they do. But I believe you. I've had similar things happen to me. This is incredible. Describe these UN troops for us. How were they dressed? What the uniforms look like? Where were they in the Walmart? Break it down for us.
Okay, the men that I saw in the Walmart, the gentlemen that I'm presuming are bodyguards because they're the ones that pulled what I'm assuming is Glock 17s because that's standard issue sidearms.
Oh, wait, they pulled firearms on you?
Yeah, yes. They drew down on me in Walmart while there was a total of 6. 4 of them drew down on me and covered me while 2 of them took me to the ground.
Well, that's unprecedented. Armed troops pulled a gun on you.
Armed in plain clothes, and I'm assuming that they were protecting the 2 men in the suits with the badges on their lapel. And, like, I didn't mean them any harm, you know, I mean...
No, I understand. It was some type of diplomats or something that think they're God.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
All right, well, they took me down with no resistance at all because
we're almost out of time. What else happened? What else happened?
Okay, they detained me and held me on the ground. One of them had a knee in my back, holding both of my hands behind my back, and I let it go on. And then the city police arrived, and they carted me off to jail. And, you know, I got out a couple hours later on what they said was a recognizance bond. You know, in good faith, I'll show
up. All right, brother, here's the deal. I'm going to send a reporter up there. I believe you. We need to go back to Walmart, recreate it. We need to go to the police department. This is huge. Armed UN forces tackling and then robbing a citizen's iPhone and taking him to jail.